Well,
It's
there you
starting
go.
now.
There you go. You're messing with me. Welcome, welcome, everybody. Greg Peterson coming to you from the Urban Farm Fruit Tree Program, and I'm here with Miss Janice. Hello, Janice.
Hello, Greg. Hi, everybody. I'm Janice Norton, and I am coming to you from Arizona. I am in Peoria. The Urban Farm Fruit Tree Program is what we are teaching about tonight.
Yes, yes, yes. And if you missed last week's class called Three Ways to Kill Your Fruit Trees, I was on fire. I'll pat myself on the back for that. And if you want the recording of that, shoot me an email, greg@urbanfarm.org, and I'll shoot you over the Zoom link, actually, not the Zoom link, the YouTube link. And it's on our YouTube channel. Maybe you can pop it in the.
It's also in the replay emails. Links to it are in the replay emails
All right,
that we sent
cool.
out.
Cool, cool, cool. All right. So tonight we are planting, watering, and fertilizing. Helps if I share my screen as well. There we go. All right, planting, watering, and fertilizing. And this is where we get down into the nitty gritty, Miss Janice,
Mm-hmm.
and really talk about how to do it. Now, about 95% of this stuff is going to work exactly perfectly for where you're at, no
No
matter
matter
where
where
you're
you're
at,
at.
and no matter where you're at. And um, especially, it's going to work incredibly well in the desert. So we're going to go ahead and jump in. All right. So if we're going to get our trees planted, we need to dig a hole. And about 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, I discovered this whole notion of the square hole. And the square hole helps trees not to get root bound in a round hole. You had that happen on a tree, didn't you, Janice?
Oh, I did. It was that poor tree tried so hard to get out of that round hole in our clay soil, and it just couldn't manage it. It
Yeah.
finally just gave up the ghost.
Yeah. So by digging a square hole, 2 feet by 2 feet by 1 foot deep, you're giving the roots of an opportunity that if they're not going to curl around and bind themselves in the hole, they'll keep digging out.
I want to say I didn't dig that hole.
No, right, exactly. Um, and you
And
want
you're
to go ahead.
I was gonna say, and your hole doesn't need to be like 9 feet deep. I actually had a husband of a friend of mine keep digging a hole because he wanted his tree to succeed, and his hole was deep enough that he could climb into it, and his shoulders were at
What?
ground level. I kid you not. And I'm like, you need to fill that back in because you don't want a hole that deep for your trees. Your trees are just going to sink.
Yeah,
So we only want the depth of the hole to be about the size of the root pot or the root ball.
yeah. That's why I say 1 foot deep.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was on a phone call with somebody. If you all have been to my classes, you know that you can send us an email, we can even get on a phone call if you need to, if you're having tree problems. And they had an apple tree that died, and it looks like what happened is they dug the hole too deep, and then they put it on a mound. But as the soil settled, the tree settled down too. So if you're
Yeah, and then
going 2 or 3 feet
it's too deep.
deep, that soil is going to settle underneath there, and it's going to have the tree be too deep.
Yeah, unless and you don't really want to dig that deep and then stomp, stomp, stomp. Because if you have a 6 foot deep hole like this man did, I mean, okay, maybe 5 foot deep by the time he got to
Wow.
his shoulders, but that was still, he was a tall guy and he
Yeah.
was just going at it. But that's that when the time that soil that's loosened and really great for tree roots to go through, by the time it just keeps settling and loses the airspace and any organic material that gets put in there, it's just going to keep sinking and sinking and sinking. And then your tree's not going to be able to survive because it's going to end up filling in and
Yeah.
it's going to be too deep.
All right, we're going to talk about deep here in a minute, how deep to plant your tree or where to plant your tree for
Yeah.
sure. So square hole, 2 feet by 2 feet by 1 foot deep. That's for the bare root and the citrus trees. For our potted ones, 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot deep is plenty. Oh, come on.
And the reason why is because our bare root trees are wider out. They haven't been trimmed out. They've got a bigger root ball,
Yeah.
a wider root ball.
All right. And
I recognize that picture.
yeah, you do. It's important to do a perk test, a percolation test. It is rare that your soil doesn't perk. I'd say 98% of the time your soil is going to perk. And what that means is you fill it with water, and if it drains in less than 12 hours, you're good. You're great. If it drains in less than 24 hours, you're good. If it's 24 hours later and it's still full to the top, you are going to send an email to Janice at urbanfarm.org and say, what do I do with this?
Jan is at Urban Farm. Actually, when you are looking at a percolation test, if your soil is going really fast and the drains within like a couple hours, that's actually important information because that's going to tell you that you have a very high sand concentrate
Hmm.
and you're going to alter your fertilization a little bit.
And
But
watering for that matter.
yeah, it's going to alter just a little bit because it's not a bad thing. It just
It's
means
just,
that everything's going to go through fast.
yeah, it's not a bad thing whether it drains in 12 hours or 2 hours. It's just good to know.
Just too good to know.
All
But
right.
if you're longer than that, um, you are going to try and do some mitigation of it. We'll
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah, but like I said, it doesn't happen very often. But if your hole's still full after 24 hours, shoot an email to Janice. She's got all kinds of data on that. This picture came from Sam B. This is a nicely cut out basin and square hole in the middle. Now, this is to fulfill my one of my very few rules in the fruit tree program called the 6-6 rule, which we're going to talk about in a little while. But that's what it should look like. Now, if you are in a gravel yard, you could rake back the gravel 6 feet, and the gravel could be the edge of the basin a um, with a square hole in the middle. Well, I'll talk more about that here in a minute. All right, we are going to talk about healthy soil. There's 5 components of healthy soil. You have one of them in your yard. It's dirt.
You're guaranteed.
Guaranteed. And desert dirt has less than 1% organic matter. And if you plant in desert dirt, good luck. You have to do something to augment the desert dirt. And so the 5 components of healthy soil are dirt, water, airspace, organic matter, and everything that's alive in the soil. And I'm going to show you how to do that next. So what goes in the planting hole? When you dig that square hole, you're going to take 40% of the native soil and put it in a wheelbarrow. You're going to put a bag and a half to 2 bags of Farmer Greg's planting mix or something similar in the wheelbarrow, and you're going to mix it up. You're going to put our starter amendment kit in the wheelbarrow, which includes 2 ounces of mycorrhiza, which is soil life, 2 pounds of azomite, which is a micronutrient vitamin pill for your tree, and 2 pounds of worm castings, which worm castings is worm poop. And our worm castings come from Arizona Worm Farm. We get them fresh, and they have soil life and nutrients in it, and 2 pounds of organic fertilizer. And we've done this over and over and over the past 2 decades and found that this is what works the best. This is what goes in the 2 foot by 2 foot by 1 foot square hole. 60% planting mix, 40% native soil, our starter kit, and 2 pounds of organic fertilizer. And you mix it all up and you plant it.
Now, I'd like to jump in here for a moment.
Okay.
If you are looking at this from out of state, you want to get local worm castings, because the worm castings that are local are going to have the better bioorganisms and everything else that is going to be best for your plantings. So worm castings, get as local as possible.
Yes. Amen to that. Thank you for that, Janice. All right. And then there is the 6-6 rule. This is 6 inches deep with a 6 foot diameter basin. So going back to this, that is a 6 foot diameter basin. It is 6 inches deep. You are going to fill this with woody mulch. That's what they've done here. This is more like an 8 foot diameter basin and 6 inches of woody mulch. This tree was planted in January. This is a dwarf bonanza peach tree. That's the short one in the middle. The tall one on the right is rootstock, which needed to be removed. And this picture was taken after 6 months. So what this tells me is this tree is thriving in this space. They planted it right. It's bushed out nicely. The rootstock's bushed out nicely, which got removed. And this is what can happen in 6 months when you follow our guidelines. And for long-term success, we want to grow soil like a forest, so lots and lots of woody mulch. We do sell woody mulch by the bag. If you have 10 or 20 or 30 trees that you're planting, go to chipdrop.com and get a load there. You can get it from them for free and use that. They will bring you 20 cubic yards, which is a lot of woody mulch. Just take note of that. And so I get this question occasionally. What happens? How do I kill mushrooms when they show up in my yard? If you have mushrooms growing in your yard, you're doing something right. You want it there. That white fuzzy stuff that in the mulch that I'm handing, that I have in my hand there, that is the mycorrhiza, the soil life, the mushrooms, the fungi. That's all good stuff. All right. So we're going to plant to the correct depth. This is a bare root tree. Same thing happens to citrus trees. Most of the fruit trees that we bring in are grafted. So we have the root stock, the root flare, we have the graft union. So what that means is they're taking a rootstock like Nemagard for peaches, and they're putting a desert gold peach. They're melding a desert gold peach to it. They call it grafting. And the desert gold peach is the scion wood or the fruiting wood. That's how they get a desert gold peach every time, or a pink lady apple every time. They're taking a cutting from an existing tree that they know the origin of and grafting them together. It is very important that you plant it only up to the root flare. If you can plant it up to the root flare, you can plant it up to about here. If you plant it to here, you can see my arrow, right, Janice?
Yes.
If you plant it to here, you're going to kill the tree. So
This
you,
whole process of grafting has been around for a long time. It is a
yes,
major element of being able to grow fruit trees, and we've been doing this for hundreds of years. But the trick about being able to plant it properly, that's the part where we just kind of have to try not to overlove it.
yeah, exactly. So that's how deep you plant it. I think I have some, yeah, there we go. This shows the graft well above the soil level. This shows a basin that we built the basin above the grade. The one below is at grade. So the one below is in the ground basin. The one above is above grade. Both ways work. Just make sure that you keep that um, woody mulch away from the trunk of the tree. You'll notice that this graphic here, this is dirt. This is woody mulch. So you want to plant your tree in dirt and woody mulch up to the dirt. Very important. Never put woody mulch up against the trunk of your tree. Like this. This
This
is a citrus tree that was planted a few years ago, and the customer sent this to me and said, "Did I do this right?" I said, "Boy, did you do this right. Can I use it in my talks?" You can see the little mound of dirt right here. You can see the graft point way up here, and then a 6-foot diameter basin full of woody mulch. Really important. All right, now we're going to talk about shading your tree. And there are 3 things that we do absolutely before you actually shade the tree. First one is the mulch. 6 inches deep minimum. When I say minimum 6 inches deep, that's minimum. You can go 8 inches, 10 inches, 12 inches, as long as you're keeping it away from the trunk of the tree. Because what happens at the interface between the dirt and the woody mulch is it starts breaking down and making really healthy soil really fast. It's actually kind of mind-blowing how quickly it works.
right?
The mulch also acts as a sponge. It holds in water. It keeps the ground somewhat cooler. All in all, one of the best things you can do for your fruit trees is mulch around the basin. So that's number 1 thing that we do to shade your tree. We're actually shading the soil.
This is critical in the desert. Maybe it's important elsewhere, but it's critical in the desert because if we are not shading the soil and at the same time building new organic material into the soil, then what we are going to be ending up with is baked desert soil.
Hmm.
So, what we're talking about right now is the processes to help create a space in the desert that's going to be it's going to be able to nurture your trees. A lot of this is going to be so useful in other areas, but it's critical in the desert.
Yeah, definitely critical in the desert. All right, thing number 2 to shade the tree. And we're still not shading the tree, and that's plant cowpeas or sweet potatoes. By the way, Janice, one of our longtime tree friends that has taken some trees from us,
Yeah.
emailed me today, and she says, "I've got cowpeas to bring you." So,
Cool.
yeah, cowpeas are a nitrogen fixing bean that grow voraciously in the heat. They absolutely love the heat. And sweet potatoes, interestingly enough, also love the heat. Both the sweet potatoes and the cowpeas, once they're established, they're on the same watering schedule as the fruit trees. So if you plant something underneath your fruit trees like a watermelon needs water a lot more often. You can have a tendency to overwater your tree. That's why we go with sweet potatoes and cowpeas,
Both of which are edible.
both of which are
Cowpeas,
edible.
when they are young, are edible. Sweet
Yeah,
potatoes, when they're mature, are edible. So we're not talking about just planting something decorative, although they both are gorgeous.
yes. And cowpeas are actually a bean
A legume.
and a legume that's edible. It's about the size of a lentil. I'm going to cook some up. I actually planted cowpeas last year in my fruit tree orchard, and this year they replanted themselves, and I harvested 3 pounds of dried beans that
Nice.
grew wild.
Nice.
So the big thing that this does, this ground cover, it keeps the temperature of the ground 40 to 60 degrees cooler in the summertime. I've got a graphic on that here in a little while. We give away cowpeas at the fruit tree lot. So when you come down to the fruit tree lot, get some Get some cowpeas. If you want to do sweet potatoes, just go to the grocery store, buy some organic sweet potatoes. Thing number
And
th Go ahead,
the
Janice.
sweet potatoes will grow prolifically around your trees if you let them grow.
Hmm.
And you'll just need to harvest what you need around the top, and they'll just kind of grow out. Your tree roots will be just fine
Yep.
below the sweet potatoes.
Yeah. Yeah, I harvested sweet potatoes out of my front yard for 25 years in Phoenix.
Yeah.
So around my fruit trees. So, and the thing about both sweet potatoes and cowpeas is uh, once they're established, they come back year over year over year in the desert without you doing anything. It's really quite cool. All right, thing number three. Do you have your can, Janice?
I don't. I used it.
Okay, cool. IV Organics. This is magic. About 20 years ago, I was at a urban farming conference, and they were talking about biodynamic tree paste, which is not commercially available. Well, we found this product about 3 years ago. It's called IV Organics. It is an biodynamic, well, it's not biodynamic. It is a organic tree paste that helps keep the bugs out of your trees. It shades the trunk of the tree, and there is some fertilizer components to it so that there's fertilizer going into the trunk of the tree. So
And the
that's,
shade is important because it's protecting from sun scald and winter scald.
and winter scald, very, very important. Will you put the link for
Absolutely.
IV Organics? I just had Charles from IV Organics on the podcast 2 weeks, 10 days ago. It was a really good one. And then shading your tree in soil, planting shade, larger trees on the west side. And then only as a last resort do you want to pay for some kind of shade structure over your tree. And what I would do, I'm going to invite you to um, send me an email. Anytime you have a question about any of this, if there's a question about whether you need shade on your tree, stand back 8, 10 feet, snap a picture, send it to me and say, hey, Greg, does this need shade? And I will give you 10 cents worth. That's what I'm here for, kids. All right. Then there's my watering methodology. We're getting close here, but there's still a fair amount to cover. There's my watering methodology. You're going to plant your citrus in September, October. That's the best time to plant it. You're going to plant your deciduous in January. Starting in October, you're going to water your trees once per month. I
Starting,
know. Go ahead.
yeah. Well, starting when you get them.
When you get them, you're going to water them once a month. And I know you're freaking out over there. Oh my God, that's not enough. I planted my first fruit trees in Phoenix, Arizona in 1975 on a flood irrigated property in central Phoenix. We never gave them additional water, ever. And I planted my bunch of fruit trees at the urban farm starting in 1989, which also had flood irrigation, and that came once a month in the winter and twice a month in the summer, and we never gave them more water than that. And the trees thrived. They absolutely
Now,
thrived.
the important thing is that you're giving them deep watering
Yes.
so that the entire basin and down deep is good and wet, and that will carry them through for many days.
Yeah, exactly. And so once a month in the winter, twice a month in the summer. There is a huge caveat, and you can probably go every 10 days in the summer these days with these hot, hot summers. There's a huge caveat. You have to go pay attention to your trees. When it starts getting hot, put your eyes on them. If you're watering them, say on June 1st, look at them on June 7th and June 10th. Are they drooping? If they're drooping, they need water. The thing, hold on one second, let me finish this thought, Miss Janice.
That's right.
The thing about overwatering a tree and underwatering a tree, the damage looks the same. And often what happens is people will see their tree drooping and they'll put the hose on it. and then it droops a little more, and they put the hose on it. And before long, they've overwatered their tree to death. Yes, Janice?
And they're going to see the yellow leaves and worry that they're drying out. They're not. They're overwatered.
Yeah.
Now, if you have done your percolation test and it is draining in like an hour to 2 hours to 3 hours, and you do a second percolation test and you're still getting the same results, then you're definitely going to want to make sure that you watch for more frequent waterings because the
Yeah.
water is going to be draining out of your soil faster. So you need more organic material. We'll go into that a little bit. But if you have a super fast percolation test, that's when you're going to want to be a little more often in the high heat. If you
Yeah.
have a slow percolation test, you definitely do not want to increase the frequency of your watering.
You have to pay attention to the tree. And if you ever have any questions, you snap a picture, send it to me, greg@urbanfarm.org. That's what I'm here for. iPhone says, do you stop watering during the monsoons? Absolutely not, because we don't get that much water. It's
There
the
are very few times that the monsoon is going to give enough, and it only works if your whole yard is getting all the water from your yard. If you have the standard typical yard that is available in Phoenix, your drainage has been cultivated to have the water leave your yard. It is
fix that.
this That is what happens in almost every yard in the valley because it's designed that way.
Yeah.
If your yard is designed to keep the water and you know that you got enough water, then no, you don't need to water. But you're like in the 1 to 2% of yards that if you're in that situation.
Let's just say if you're watering during monsoons, you're not going to hurt the tree. And we have I have a whole 2-page document in Root Camp in our master course on watering. So
Yeah.
this is the cliff notes. How much do we water? Can't tell you. You've got to figure it out on your own. We can give you guidelines. We can share things like get a moisture meter, get a soil probe, use my strategy, pay attention to the trees. But you have to pay attention to your trees to make sure that they're getting the right amount of water.
Because every tree drinks it on its own rate, and every basin of soil is going to drain at its own rate.
Hmm.
Therefore, the answer that we give one person after we really super analyze the situation isn't going to apply to everybody.
Right.
So it's a big, 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 it depends.
Yeah, exactly. And we're here for you to help you figure it out.
And
But
I just saw a comment about somebody being on original soil. Original soil, the last several thousands of years in different areas is going to be different. What
yeah,
one person's original soil is going to be different from somebody else's original soil.
yeah. And given it's in the desert, you have less than 1% organic matter.
Yeah, probably.
All
I
right,
mean, it's good to know that.
yeah. All
It
right,
is good to know that.
fertilizing. So
Granular.
Arizona, I'm going to call out something here. Arizona's best brand is not the best fruit tree fertilizer for you. It's high in nitrogen. I saw a post on Facebook today, and they said, I got this lime tree. It's growing like mad, and we've never had any fruit. And I said, are you using a high nitrogen fertilizer called Arizona's Best? And they said yes. And I had a lady about 5 years ago, Janice, that came to me, and she had bought fruit trees from us, was using a high nitrogen fertilizer. It wasn't making any fruit. And she said, what's going on? It took us several rounds of emails to figure it out. She contacted me 2 years later and said that was it. You have to have a balanced organic fertilizer for our system to work best and for your trees to produce and thrive. So you're going to use a granular fertilizer. We carry BioFlora fertilizer in 50-pound bags. This is a product that is not available in nurseries. This is a farmer product. It's OMRI certified, which means it's organic. And we carry Tanks Super Mix
Those are 10-pound bags.
in 10-pound bags. Oh my gosh, Susan just says 20, 20, 20. So those three numbers are the fertilizer numbers, and it's nitrogen, potassium, and phosphate, something like that. And that represents the percent, those three numbers, you all have seen it on bags of fertilizer, that represents the percentage of each one of those. And if it's
That's high.
above 10%, if the number's above 10 on any of them, it is highly likely not organic fertilizer. Our bioflora is 665.
Can I take a moment here?
Yes, please.
When you're talking about fertilizers, there is the rapid fertilizer, which is going to be that super strong, really powerful boost. And there's the slow fertilizers. Now, the problem with the rapid fertilizers is that's a massive amount of fertilizer that sometimes is going to be like this really exciting, yay, for the tree, but it has the high potentiality of burning the roots, burning the
Hmm.
nutrients can be just so compact, so fast that it can burn the roots. If it doesn't burn the roots, it will have the impact of being something that is more akin to a drug, and the trees will just kind of like be really needy for it, but they're not producing what they're supposed to be producing because they're working so hard to convert that nutrient into something that they can use. The better solution is to go organic, which is a
Yep.
slow feed. You don't need to feed as often because what you've given them is something that is more akin to a nice, good meal, and they can take it up at a slower, more natural rate. And you don't run the risk of burning it by giving them too much at one time. You can actually plant a tree bare root in a mixture of soil that has fertilizer in it if it is organic fertilizer.
Yeah. Perfect.
And
Perfect. So,
bioflora is for all plants.
yes.
We love it. It is for all plants
Yep.
because it is a good organic fertilizer. It is based in Arizona. We do not ship it. We do not ship the 50-pound bags at all. We're not in a shipping business. We're in an education business. But you can find something elsewhere in your area if you're not in our area, and just look for the slow, natural, organic feed fertilizers.
Perfect. So we suggest, and what people don't get is that trees need to eat, trees and plants need to eat every day. If you're fertilizing them once or twice a year, you're starving the things to death. 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, when people send me a picture and says what, and ask what's wrong with their tree, it's malnourished. There's no basin around it and it's malnourished. They're not getting it enough food. Now you don't have to fertilize it every day, but you need to
Or
make
you
the fertilizer available every day. So we,
And it's really not a lot. It's, 1 pound per inch diameter of the tree 4 times a year. So one tree is only going to get 4 pounds of fertilizer during the whole year if it's a 1 inch tree.
perfect. So we suggest minimum 4 times a year on the granular, Valentine's Day, Tax Day, Memorial Day, and Labor Day, and 1 pound, 2.5 cups per trunk, 1 inch trunk diameter. I think, come here.
Now
There
those
we go.
ratios, those ratios that we came up with are for the two fertilizers that we use.
Yep.
We are projecting that it's probably pretty similar for an organic fertilizer elsewhere, but we don't have those exact ratios. So take a look at
Yeah.
the back of the bag if you're not getting it locally.
So here is a 4 inch diameter apricot tree in the front yard of the urban farm. 4 inches, 4 inch trunk. It's 2.5 cups per inch. So you would give it 10 cups of fertilizer 4 times a year. Or if you're doing it by the pound, a 4 inch trunk, it's 1 pound per inch diameter trunk. That's 4 pounds, just like that. So it's the same amount. It's 10 cups or 4 pounds. It's about the same. All right.
Now, what you are also going to do is you are not going to put this fertilizer up by the trunk. You are going to put this fertilizer out underneath the edge of where the leaves are. That's the drip line. And that's where the water drips off the tree in a good rain, basically. Or the shadow at the beginning of the middle of the day. That's your drip line. And that's where you're going to put your fertilizer.
And we do ship the super mix, I think, don't we, Janice?
We can.
Yeah, we
I
can.
don't like to put it with too many other things. The box gets too heavy. We can
Yep,
just ship it by itself.
perfect. So we have BioFlora in 50-pound bags. This is a farmer product. We've been buying it for 20 years. I don't know if you knew that, Janice. This is our 21st year of selling BioFlora fertilizer. It's like I said, a farmer product, and then super mix in 10-pound organic only. You fertilize just before deep watering. And I think the next one is my shovel wedge. So people ask me about this all the time, Janice. What do I do to get the fertilizer past the woody mulch? I call it my shovel wedge method. You also, if you have dogs, your dogs are going to love this fertilizer. They will roll
And
in it,
any fertilizer.
any fertilizer. So what I do is I take a shovel, uh, 8 to 12 inches away from the trunk of the tree, and push it down as far as it goes, rock it back and forth, pour the fertilizer in, and then fill it back in with woody mulch and soil. And do that 3 or 4 places around the base of the tree. A little bit of root pruning like that isn't going to hurt the tree. If you're you put the shovel in and it hits a major root, go someplace else. So that's my shovel wedge fertilizer technique, and it works really well. All right. We are very committed to drench feeding and foliar feeding, especially with the heat,
Yes.
especially with the heat. Um, it makes all the difference in the world. Drench feeding is, I'll let you quickly talk about drench feeding, Janice, and then I'll talk about foliar feeding.
Well, I want to talk about what you're using. The products that you're using for drench feeding and foliar feeding should be organic. And what you're doing for a drench is you're putting a concentrate in the basin around the tree. You're not going to put a lot. You're just going to put a little bit, depending on the ratios. And what we've been doing right now is just about 3 ounces of a concentrate of humic acid, and we are going to soak the ground with water after applying the solution. And this is going to go into the root zone. I am big, big, big on giving your roots and your soil the life, the energy that it needs, because that's where your tree is going to be uptaking so much of the nutrients year round.
Yeah,
And
cool.
foliar
And then
feeding,
and foliar feeding is you actually spraying fish and kelp emulsion right on the trees. And these we highly suggest twice a month for best results, especially when the tree's young.
there is a caveat on that. There is a time window, a temperature window for this to be able to work, both
Yes.
time and temperature. You don't want to foliar feed when it's too cold or when it's too hot, because the optimum range is around 70 to 80 degrees, give or take just a degree or two. That's the optimum time, a little less than 80, for when the tree is capable of intaking the nutrients. But you also don't want to do it when it is in the sunny part of the day, because if you do it during the sunny part of the day, the moisture has the possibility of creating little lenses that can damage your tree. So you want to do it early in the morning or late in the afternoon after the sun has had its at its zenith, and only during the windows of about, let's just shoot for like 70 to 78 degrees. That's going to be your best results.
Perfect. And then we have some planting secret sauces that you'll
We're
have
updating
available.
those right now,
We're
Greg.
updating those right now, and you'll have
Yeah.
those available in January when you come down to the fruit tree program lot. This is what a foliar pump sprayer looks like. I have a 4-gallon backpack sprayer that works real well.
Use
This,
any kind that you want.
yeah, this handle on this thing is our foliar spray mod kit. It includes the nipple here and the spray nozzle. This facilitates getting the job done a lot faster. Let's just say that. So we have those available. I think they're what, $8 or something like that. All right, and then we have our nutrition schedule, which is in Root Camp, which talks about in depth, and we go in depth with a lot of the nutrition stuff in our extreme tree care class that is in Root Camp. So you can jump in and watch that there. Here's the difference that the ground cover makes. This happens to be sweet potatoes growing in the front yard of the urban farm. This particular day in August, it was 89 degrees underneath the plants. In the bare dirt, it was 140 with no ground cover, and it was 126 inches down. This is the difference between your fruit tree making it or your fruit tree dying. All right, I'm going to do this quickly and then we'll get to questions. So we absolutely hate it when your trees die. So here's the deal. If you follow our directions, this is what everything we talked about and on planting, watering, and fertilizing. And if your tree doesn't make it, or if the moment you start having a issue with your tree, you're going to email 2 pictures. And this is where people fall down. I don't want to hear from you with a picture that says, "Oh, my tree died." There's nothing I can do about that.
Well, the funny thing is that when you start to get that niggling feeling like, oh, I don't know if my tree looks right,
Yes,
don't hesitate. Go ahead and reach out to us.
yes,
We will not be offended if you send us a picture that looks like a tree that's just kind of like, oh,
right.
we're okay with that.
Please bring it on. This is what I'm here
Yeah.
for. This is my full-time job. I interact with people every single day in email with fruit trees. I had 3 or 4 of them today.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I do. So the moment there's a problem, and even if it's something you don't understand, snap a
Yeah.
picture and send it to me. And I'll say, oh, it's no big deal. It's starting to lose its leaves for the fall. Or, oh yeah, that's a problem. Here's what we need to do about it.
Yeah. And we have time to fix it so you don't have to go dig another hole.
Exactly. So that we're here for you, and still no luck. If for some reason the tree doesn't make it following our process, we're willing to implement what we call our fruit tree program guarantee. Basically, what that means is we do our best to educate you. We're here for you. And if your tree doesn't make it, if you've given it your best shot and we've given it our best shot, we'll split the cost of a new tree with you next year. Because that way we're both equally responsible.
We're committed.
We're that committed to it. Yep. And from the Fruit Tree Urban Farm Fruit Tree Program, you get actually, for me, it's 50 plus years. I planted my first fruit trees in Phoenix, Arizona in 1975. So I have made all the mistakes, I promise. And we've figured a lot of things out. This is what we are here for. This is what the Urban Farm Fruit Tree Member Program is about. It's about us helping and making sure that your trees thrive. So, how the Urban Farm Fruit Tree Program works. First and foremost, it's education. Janice, would you drop a link for Root Camp in here?
I literally am typing that up right now.
Perfect.
I've got 2 links that I'm putting in the chat room. One is for Root Camp sign up and one is for login.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you. So, Root Camp is over 70 lessons on how to grow fruit trees in the desert. And For those of you that don't know, I no longer live in the desert. I live in Asheville, North Carolina. And guess what? All of the stuff that we do in Phoenix, Arizona works in Asheville, North Carolina, which is a much different climate than there. So we
That's
are
one thing.
education first. We have our root camp. We have our live classes like this. We have our monthly tree chats that we do, all free. All of them are free. And then you pre-order trees from us. This is where we make our money, is we sell fruit trees. And the cool thing is the fruit trees that we have available are better priced than 80% of the nurseries in town. And they're better products. So, in fact, Janice was at a big box store recently sending me pictures of fruit trees from a big box store that were more expensive and less of trees than what we bring in.
And
So,
trees that we knew weren't going to be able to fruit because of the kind they were.
this whole program started 26 years ago because I figured out that you could go into most nurseries and every big box store and they will sell you a fruit tree that will never make fruit in the desert. So all of the fruit trees that we bring in are season and climate appropriate for the low desert. If you follow our directions, if you do as we tell you to do, these are fairly simple trees. You will get fruit in 3 years. That's the bottom line. So then what we do is twice a year, in late September, early October, we do citrus. And in the second half of January, we do deciduous trees. And we do a pop-up nursery. We're open 5 weekends a year for fruit trees. We're usually open 2 or 3 Saturdays a year to pick up supplies. So then at this point you're ordering, if you're pre-ordering trees, you're pre-ordering deciduous trees, and you will get an email the probably the first week of January that says schedule an appointment to come and get your trees. Our warehouse is at 7th Street and Camelback in Phoenix, Arizona. We set up a temporary nursery for those 3 weekends and then take it down and start over again the next year. That's how our program works. What we supply are fruit trees, fruiting trees, and plants. We don't sell anything that doesn't make something you can eat. Did I say that right, Janice?
Yeah,
Everything
I
we
think so.
sell makes something you can eat. That was a double negative there. We sell organic fertilizers, soil supplements. I tell people this all the time. Can you tell I'm passionate about this? I tell people this all the time. You're going to spend at least as much the first year on supplements and soil as you are your fruit tree. So just know that. So if you spend $80 on a fruit tree, you're going to spend $80 on fertilizers and soils and supplements and that kind of stuff to get it planted properly. And with that, you're still going to spend less than you do on a fruit tree at most of the major nurseries in Phoenix, Arizona. We know this because we did the research a couple of years ago and found out some amazing stuff. So we sell soil supplements, irrigation supplies, and lots of help. We have a crew of about 20 people that know what they're talking about. At least 10 or 12 people have been with us for years. We have a couple of people that have been with us almost a decade, including Janice. Did you have something, Janice?
No, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Cool. If you need some help, I do a garden consult. This is a virtual consult online. You can find them at urbanfarm.org/consults. They're 120 bucks. You will get your money out of them, or I will give you your money back. Our deciduous program has it went live in 1999, and our citrus program went live in 2004. This is our 21st year, 22nd year coming up on citrus, Janice. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
All right. And this is the goal here. The picture on top was a client that sent that to us and said, oh my gosh, look what we got after 3 years. It's like, yes, they're doing something right. The bottom picture those are mid-pride peaches and Anna apples. I know that that was on my kitchen in the at the urban farm in Phoenix. One thing of note, note the size of the peaches. I was never a fan of huge, of completely doing the thinning that needed to be done. So the more thinning you do, the bigger the peaches are going to be. But they all taste great, and those are, a little bit smaller than a baseball, and they were amazing fruit. So, oh my gosh, there we go. Do we have any questions, Janice?
Oh, yes, we do. I want to address a couple of them really quick.
Okay.
We have watering questions. Do we wait until the meter says dry for a while before watering? No.
No.
You need to get to just before it says dry and then you water. That way, the soil at the very top, 5 or 6 inches, is starting to be drying out and then you're ready to water.
Yeah. The water meter usually is like a 1 to 10 or a dry to wet. Usually on that scale, 1 to 10, 10 being wettest, 1 being driest. When it got down to 3, I watered it again.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because you need to be able to allow the every time you are doing this, you want to make sure that the water moves through the soil so that air can go back in because it's the water, air that your soil needs.
Hmm.
Another question about watering is, do you still fertilize and deep water if it's below freezing? If it's
No.
below freezing, you're not going to need to do the fertilizing, but it's really good to water deeply before it gets too cold because the water is going to insulate the roots.
Yeah.
So
And
if you know that a freeze is coming, go ahead and give it a good deep water.
yeah, well, and our fertilizing, the granular fertilizer is in spring, summer, and fall.
Yeah.
So it
The
doesn't get.
worst it will be is if we have a freeze in February, but you can just wait a little bit.
Mhm.
That's the worst it'll be for the valley. Eric says, any concerns with the bioflora with chickens? And also, he tried sweet potatoes last year and his chickens
Of
demolished them.
course they
Any
did.
advice?
Of course they did. Yeah, the chickens will love the sweet potatoes for sure. They'd love the cowpeas as well. Um,
Any advice for him?
fence off the trees from the chickens. That's
Yeah,
that's what I did at the urban farm. I had my chickens only got into certain places, and I had a chicken. I had a chicken yard with a couple of trees in it, and I put up hardware cloth around the
the
base of
trees
the
themselves. Yeah,
trees. Yeah,
yeah. Um, Pam says the fertilizers we're mentioning, are they good for both deciduous and citrus?
absolutely.
Absolutely. If you are looking at a truly organic fertilizer, it's going to be good for all plants. The only ones that you're going to want to be really careful that you know what you're doing on would be your succulents because they are on a different cycle and we don't address that with our program.
Yeah,
Do we ship fruit trees and supplements? No, we don't ship fruit trees. Some of
absolutely
the
not.
supplements we do, we can do up to about 10 pounds. So that would be the Tank Super Mix, the uh,
Worm.
mycorrhiza. We
Yeah,
don't recommend getting worm castings.
thank you.
You need to get your own local worm castings. So we don't want to
Yeah.
ship those either.
Yeah, Carla, the reason we don't chip trees is because our trees won't work in Montana.
Hmm.
Our trees are specific to the low desert. These are
Yeah.
varieties that are climate and season appropriate for the low desert. Yes, Bruce, there's a replay. You'll be getting one. I'll send it out in the morning.
Julie says she let the sweet potato vines grow up the trunk of her little lemon tree that she planted in October, thinking it will shade the trunk. Does that work?
No, I would avoid that at all costs because the sweet potatoes and the cowpeas can overtake the tree. They will grow so densely over the tree. So
They'll
that's
they'll
the one
cover
thing.
the tree.
Yeah, they will cover the tree. That's the one thing about sweet
It'll look a
potato.
little bit like the picture right here. This is grapevines taking over my statue, but that's what'll happen with the cowpeas and
Yeah,
the sweet potatoes. Mary says, "Is there a planting season for sweet potatoes and or cowpeas for my fruit trees?"
yes, March.
Yeah.
April.
Now, the sweet potatoes will pop up first and
Hmm.
then the cowpeas will. They just happen to be on a slightly different. So you think that the cowpeas aren't coming and then all of a sudden they'll start coming out.
Yeah.
So, but you can plant them around the same time. And basically, if you're living somewhere else, it's after the last freeze, just
Yep.
about, anywhere from end of February to maybe very early April.
Yeah.
Bernadine was gifted a red pear tree. Ooh, she's new to fruit tree planting, and her area has very hard water. Will it make a difference in the health of the tree as it grows? And the soil is very dry and hard. Sounds
Oh,
like you're in the southwest.
yeah. Where are you at, Bernadine? Planting wherever you're at, if the soil is very dry and hard, planting it this way will be the difference between the tree surviving and thriving and it not. If you just dig
Yes,
a hole and put the tree in the hole, good luck.
one of the key elements of Greg's program that he's taught way before I got here was adding the organic material. If your
Big time.
soil is very dry and very hard, it is essential that you do that mix of organic material into your soil so that your tree has something to live off of.
Yep.
And then you're going to continue with the fertilizing. And if your soil is that hard and the water's that hard, you actually need the mulch to help mitigate some of it. With hard water means you probably have high salt content, especially if you're in the valley and and your soil is salty. It's essential to get the watering to go way deep so that the salts can settle below the water line, the root line, the roots, way, way below the roots. Did that answer that question? I hope.
Yeah.
And good luck with the pear tree. Send Greg a picture or talk to Greg in an email because pear trees do have their own issues and he can help you with that.
Well, there she's in New Mexico, so that's
Oh, she
different.
did? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are coffee grinds good for a fig tree?
Coffee grinds are good for whatever you want to use. You get them in the ground. Yeah.
Coffee grinds are good. You just don't want to make that your sole thing. Spread them out, mix them up with the soil. Um, if you do coffee grounds every week, you're going to have it'll have a detriment. So yes.
Cool.
James says, should I screen rocks out of the dirt before mixing it for planting?
I would.
It really
Yeah.
depends on the size of your rocks.
That's true.
You know, your trees are very resilient and can grow around rocks,
Hmm.
but it's better if they don't have to.
Yeah.
It just depends on the size.
All right. I think
All
we still
right. Do
have
we
a
have any
couple.
other questions? I think that's it. Talked about the
Jacqueline
mushrooms. We
says,
talked
did I
about the
understand
bioflora.
Janice? Did
What?
I, Jacqueline says, did I understand Janice to say that yellow leaves are a sign of overwatering?
Yes and no. Yellow leaves can be a sign of overwatering. It can also be the sign of underwatering. Yellow leaves are basically when the tree is having a problem and it is either the chlorophyll has burst and it no longer has the capacity to make the green, or it doesn't have enough to make it. So you kind of have to look at the whole picture to get the answer.
Yeah. Carla, how does your drip tape work with this watering program? It works great.
All of the trees
Janice's,
in this picture are
yeah,
on the drip tape water system. My grapes, my apples, my apricots, my peaches, my plums, all of them are on the drip tape water system. For me, because I have super hard clay soil, it was essential that I watered everything in a slow watering, and it was perfect for my soil. My trees
yeah.
love it.
If you want a link to the drip tape class, shoot me an email, greg@urbanfarm.org. Drip tape is absolutely flat out the best way to be watering your garden and orchards.
iPad is asking about the best lemon brand to grow, or does it matter the best lemon variety? It depends what you like. What's your favorite lemons, Greg?
Uh, Eureka. or the lemony lemons.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's only so many you can get in Arizona. Eureka, um, there's a
Meyer,
Meyer.
Pink Eureka. Um, he or she, I don't know who, if you're a guy or a girl, sorry, but they're saying that they've had no luck with lime trees in Arizona. Um,
Lime, that depends on
where you are.
where you are, um, and what you're fertilizing them with.
It does. It also depends on what you're, if you are aware of how a lime gets ripe or when it gets lemons and limes, they tie,
Hmm.
you gotta watch that part. Um, Anonymous says, are 2 pails of water considered to be deep watering? No.
Well, it depends. It depends. If you have really sandy soil, that could be. And
And also, I guess
how
it
big is
depends
the
on the size
pail?
of the pail.
Right? Are they 1 gallon pails, 5 gallon pails? There's so many things to unpack there.
It really depends. I would say my first answer would be probably not. But it also, if you, depending on your soil, if you, and the size of your tree, because if you have a small tree, and that might be enough. But if you have a regular tree or a larger tree, the bigger your tree, the more you need to spread the water around to get it more deeper. The
Yeah.
best way to find out if you've done enough water is to use a soil probe. The best way to know if you've done enough is the day after you've watered, use a soil probe and see how far down it will go.
Oh, there you
The
go.
best way to figure out if you're ready to water again, if it's time to water, is to use a moisture meter because that will tell you if your soil is dry or still got moisture in it. iPhone says, does chicken poop at all add to organic material in your soil?
In the basins, in the woody basins around your trees, you absolutely want to put in chicken poop. If you've got it, use it.
All right. Sam McDonald, Susan McDonald was looking for info on the flat tape. Did you get her
Yep,
email?
I got
Because,
that.
okay, cool. I
I
don't
got
see
that.
any, nut trees near my fruit trees. Do we treat them the same?
Nut
Nut trees
trees,
at
yes.
yeah, nut trees are definitely you're going to water them differently. I mean, like you're going to water them, the spaced out deep watering. Nut trees are definitely going to need the high water, and you're going to want to water deep. Pay attention to what kind you have because some of those nut trees put down a deep, deep taproot, and you want to make sure that that stays watered and fed.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. I gotta go. We gotta get moving and wrap this
Okay.
thing up. But there's a couple things real quick. If you are in the low desert, Phoenix metropolitan area, low desert, we every spring offer a permaculture design course. Permaculture is the science, art and science of working with nature. How do you work in the flow of nature rather than against nature? I just dropped in the um, I just dropped in the chat box a link for a Q&A that Don and I are doing this Thursday night and then December 2nd to answer questions about permaculture and the permaculture design course. It's free. Come and join us. That would be great.
That's a
Um,
good class.
that's a good, yeah, it's going to be fun. Don and I do great together. The other thing is, um, part of how we support what we do is people buying stuff from us. And so if you're in a place where you can't or don't want to buy something from us, or we can't ship it to you like that, I just dropped a link uh, in the chat box if you want to make us a donation. We're not too proud. We do tours. The tours that we do in Phoenix, they're all donation based, and so if you want to drop a donation and give us some kudos that way, there's a link for that.
We appreciate it.
We do.
We're not in this to make a lot of money, but we would like to be able to pay some bills.
Right, exactly. All
All
right.
right.
That's it. Get your fruit tree pre-orders in. We are currently on um, holiday pricing.
Mm-hmm.
The price will go up on January 1st to our lot pricing, which is a bit more. So
Thank
there
you
you
for the
go.
love and the kudos.
Yeah, thanks for the love and the kudos. And I did grab the two people that were interested in the drip tape. I'll get the drip tape class and the drip tape supplies list out to you.
If you're local and if you've placed an order or you're going to place an order for the next pickup, just hang loose. We won't be sending out invitations for scheduling the appointments until the end or near the end of December. We need that much time to set up our schedule before we do that. But we
Yeah,
will be sending out an invite, or you can watch the website, the store website, and there will be a link for scheduling your pickup.
awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you, Miss Janice. Thank you, everybody,
Thank
for joining us.
Good to see you again, Greg.
Yeah. Um,
For those of you who are catching this in the replay, or if we didn't get you, if you don't get an email, email Greg at fruittree@urbanfarm.org, and he'll take care of giving you any information that you need.
yeah. B. Marsh, I'm going to close down this right now, but shoot me an email at fruittree@urbanfarm.org, or really any of the emails that you get from us. If you reply to them, they all come back to me.
Yeah, pretty
So
much most of them.
make a request that way. All right, guys. Thank you. Thanks,
Bye.
Janice. Talk to you later.